So there's a film that I haven't been able to stop thinking about for like the past 4 days since I watched it. I cannot believe I didn't watch it sooner. Every time I speak to my friends, I'm talking about it, like, when are we going to see it? I'm speaking about it at work now. I'm speaking to colleagues. I just can't stop thinking about it. Like, it's so unbelievably good. I just need to I need to talk about it. So the film, obviously, I'm talking about is Obsession, as you could see in the title and the thumbnail. It's unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, please drop what you're doing. If it's still in cinemas for you, go see it in cinemas. I actually didn't see it in cinemas. I saw it digitally, and I regret not seeing it in cinemas. So I actually might go and see it myself. But anyway, I'm going to split this video up into 2 parts. I'm going to split it up into the plot in part 1, and then in the second half of the video, I'll have it timestamped. I'm going to speak all about spoilers. So there will be a spoiler warning. If you don't want to indulge in spoilers, that's fine. Just maybe watch the first half, see if you're interested in the film. If you are, stop watching, drop what you're doing, go watch it, then come back for the second half of where I just kind of break it down, talk about some stuff that I really did like in the film and some stuff that maybe I didn't like, which there was like nothing I didn't like. So we're initially introduced to our main 4 characters, which is Bear, Nikki, Sarah, and Ian. They're our main 4 characters for this film. We find out pretty early on that they all work in the same business. They all work in a music store together. That's how they all became friends. And the main premise of the film is Bear is trying to break the news to Nikki that he has feelings for her, which is proving to be a lot harder than he realizes. He then later on goes into a store and buys a One Wish Willow, which again is a main component of this film, because the One Wish Willow grants 1 wish to a single person at a time. You're only allowed to use it once. Obviously, he doesn't know that until like later on, but he's only allowed to make 1 wish. So later on, he tries to confess his feelings towards Nikki, and he just can't do it. She ends up walking away from the car as he's dropping her off, and he pulls out the One Wish Willow and makes the wish, "I wish that Nikki would love me more than anyone in the fucking world." As soon as he breaks it, something clicks within Nikki. She turns around and comes back to the car. Everything from there, I would consider a spoiler. So I think now we should get into spoiler territory. So massive spoiler warning, huge spoiler warning. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. Right, so before we do get into spoilers, I know I did just do a spoiler warning, but I kind of wanted to just talk about how, in concept, this film is not complex at all. It's so simple. It's someone's in love, they wish the other person loved them back, and it just goes tits up. It's so simple. And I can't believe it hasn't been done before. I think it has. I think I saw Moist Critical talk about it, like another film, but it was absolutely abysmal. So they don't even like address it. But again, it's so simple in concept that it makes it that much more enjoyable. I don't know. I kind of just wanted to mention that. And I want to say as well, congrats to Curry Barker. Curry Barker is the director of this film, and it is just unbelievable what you can do with such a small budget. This just kind of proves that you don't need this massive $200 million Blumhouse budget for the fucking Conjuring 6 or Insidious 7. Like, you don't need that. This guy had a $750,000 budget and he grossed it into $400 million. It's unbelievable what he's been able to achieve, and I cannot wait to see what he comes out with next. I've heard that he wants to come out with like a series or another film. Like maybe the series is like an hour of 8 episodes of different wishes. Like that's, again, it's such a simple concept because millions of people have thousands of different wishes. Like, not all of them are going to go right, and some of them are going to go right. I'd be really interested to see if he did do an episode where the wish did go right and there was nothing wrong with it. I feel like that would be really interesting. But I'm getting off on a tangent. I'll go into spoilers now. I'll start talking about the film properly. So there are so many moments within the first 20 minutes of the film that give like conflicting arguments whether Nikki does like Bear or she doesn't. Like, there are a lot of moments where she almost throws him in the friend zone, but there's also moments where she seems to be interested, and she does seem to be attracted to Bear. Like, there's a moment in the car where she says, "When I like a guy, nobody knows." And she kind of looked at him in a weird way. And I think it's fully intentional. Knowing Curry Barker, I fully believe that this was like, we are seeing from Bear's perspective here. Bear has no idea how she's feeling, whether she likes him or not. And we don't know how she's feeling. Like, one minute she's being really friendly and really bro-ish to him, and the next she's kind of flirty with him, kind of giving a bit of banter back and forth. And I also want to say how I kind of appreciate how when Bear does make his wish, it's supernatural and like careless, as if he obviously doesn't believe it's gonna work. It's like a one-off, like off-written kind of thing he says of, "I wish Nikki would love me more than anybody in the fucking world." Like, that is just so off the scale kind of what he says. And I think it's so clever how it's delivered, because it's so simply delivered, but again, it's sold me. Like, I believe that it was supernatural that he said it. I also want to give props to Indy here for her acting. Her acting is genuinely stupendous. It is ridiculous how good it is. The ability to snap between her other personality, her obsessive personality. I'm going to call it that because I don't think it's a possession. I don't think Curry intended it to be a possession story. So I'm just going to call it like alternate obsessive personality for now. So her ability to be able to snap between her obsessive personality and regular Nikki is unbelievable. Like, it's jaw-dropping the way she's just able to come in and out of being obsessive. It's crazy to me. So when Bear makes his wish of Nikki being obsessed with him, I guess, she comes back to the car and she starts speaking to him in a weird way, like not how she was speaking before. She then kind of has a moment where she snaps back and she's like, "Wait, what the fuck?" And then kind of goes back into the trance. And this happens consistently throughout the film. And these moments are really what hooked me on the film, because like, is she there? Is she seeing all of this? Is it kind of like Nikki is in one spot 1 minute and then the obsessive personality takes over, and then it kind of like blacks out for regular Nikki, and then she kind of snaps back in, if you get what I'm saying? And she's like, what the fuck am I? Like, that kind of snapping in and out. Like, is she snapping in somewhere like outside of his car and then snapping in somewhere else immediately after, like his bedroom later on in the story? Like, I don't know. Like, is she seeing through her own eyes, or is she just oblivious to what is going on, and then she's just waking up in a moment that she has no idea and no control over? I don't know. It's so open to interpretation. It's amazing. I love it. I love just hyper analyzing it and just coming up with my own theories. And obviously these theories have been explored anyway. Like, I'm not the first person in the world to come up with these theories, but I just think it's so cool. So obviously, as the movie goes on, the obsessiveness goes from one extreme to the next. Like, obviously early on, it's quite lukewarm and tame. And then the next minute, she's cooking a cat and feeding him a cat for his lunch. Like, it's crazy how quick it really kicks in, like this obsessive personality. And it's really scary as well. Like, she is so creepy unnecessarily. Like, she can just smile at him and it's so weird. And the problem that I have with this is Bear just seems to go along with it. He is obviously a little bit like, what the fuck at first? Like, what is going on? Like, when she gets into his car initially, he's like, what is going on? What are we doing? But he kind of just lets it happen as if he's not fazed. Like, obviously he is, but like, I'm surprised he doesn't think she's having some form of episode, or I don't know. It also says to me that he just doesn't care, and he's kind of taking advantage of Nikki. And the real victim in this story, by the way, spoiler alert, it's Nikki. Like, Nikki is just tormented and abused during this whole thing, and it's all Bear's fault, really. There's a particular scene that I really want to talk about, and it's really difficult to watch, and it's kind of difficult to talk about as well because it kind of includes sexual assault. Some people would class it as sexual assault, some people wouldn't. It depends on your take of this film. I think it's up to your own interpretation whether it is or isn't. But basically, the scene I'm talking about is the scene where they actually become intimate and Bear has sex with Nikki. So during this scene, the camera pans from above to where Bear is, and then it pans down to Nikki, and she's like moaning and groaning, and her face is just completely emotionless. There's nothing going on with her face. So you have all these like noises going on that should be pleasurable and should be visible on her face, and they're not. And that is really like unsettling and uncomfortable to watch. I think what makes it uncomfortable as well is that, like, obviously this isn't Nikki. And again, going back to the point of, is Nikki experiencing this, or is Nikki just kind of snapping in and out? I don't know. But again, Nikki hasn't obviously given consent to this, so if she's enjoying it or not, it doesn't really matter because it's against her will. And obviously Bear hasn't taken that into consideration because he's just kind of put his own needs in front of hers. And again, that's where this selfishness comes in of he doesn't care about Nikki, or he says he cares about Nikki, but in reality he doesn't, because if he did, he would be really concerned of what's going on with Nikki and why she's so obsessed with him. I want to go back to another scene that was like prior to this where they actually confessed their feelings for one another, which was inevitably going to happen. There's a montage of them just hanging out at work, hanging out at home, being obsessed with each other, falling in love. He's just taking full advantage of this, and it's mad. He surely should know something's off here, that she's immediately just snapped into this phase of, I'm all about you, I love you. Like, she immediately says, I love you. And it's crazy how fast it moves, and he just accepts it. He doesn't care. Again, I think this just shows Bear's lack of empathy towards Nikki. And obviously he does love her, but he's just taken advantage of the situation. He's just completely got a lack of empathy for her. On one hand, I understand that this is his dream girl, and all everyone wants is their dream girl to be in love with them and just be absolutely obsessed with them. Obviously, like I said earlier, the movie gets kind of worse and worse as you go forward. Not as in like worse as in bad. I mean worse as in like the shit Nikki's doing is just off the charts. It's nuts. Like I mentioned earlier, she cooks his cat. Yeah, that's nuts. But again, that leads me into something else I want to talk about. All these minor details that Nikki was actually leaving Bear. In his lunchbox, there are a couple of photos of Nikki smiling very demonically, very devilish, while Bear is sleeping next to Bear. And at the bottom of the photo, it says, "Not me," and "Not real." This just shows that Nikki is in control in some way, and she's trying to get Bear to save her and realize that this isn't her, but he just doesn't take any notice of it. There's another scene later on where this comes through of Nikki snapping back. So Ian inevitably invites Bear to a party that he's hosting at his place. He says it's a boys' night, but Sarah's going to come. Bear goes home and tells Nikki after she's like in an absolute state. Like she has been stood at this door, at the front door, smiling terribly this whole time that he has been away from home. Bear in mind, he has gone to do a full shift at work and gone driving afterwards. So like it has been a really long day where she has just been stood smiling at this door. She has puked, she has pissed and shit herself. Like Bear comes in and he's panicking that she's had a seizure. Like it's crazy. She says she's going to clean herself up and she's having a shower, and Bear says to her like, "You can't cook the cat." You can't make me eat the cat. And just some really funny stuff. Like, this film is really funny in certain scenes, like unintentionally. I don't think Curry intended it to be funny, but it's crazy how you can laugh at some of this stuff. Even though it's outlandish and ridiculous, you can laugh at it. It is just funny. But then obviously he says that Ian's invited him to a party, an all boys party, and immediately she starts wailing. Like, she loses her shit and she says, I'll come, I'll get ready. And then he says it's a boys' night, and then again loses her shit, says that Sarah's going, and then that's when obviously he takes her to the party. So again, I'm going off tangent. So they're at this party, she's acting really crazy. Everyone sees that she's acting weird, and there's a moment where they're playing a game and Nikki gets upset about a certain dare. She goes in for a kiss with Bear. Bear kisses her. She then opens her eyes and freaks out and starts screaming, it's not me, it's not me, and falls over. Like, it's convincing that, like, she is trying to get her point across that is not her. And then she obviously snaps back into the obsessive personality, grabs a broken glass and, like, stabs her head. Like, it's a brutal scene, and Bear is just sat there like he's super upset and he's been left out of a game. Like, he's just been sat like really cross and like he doesn't know what to do. And Ian's there in the background like, Bear, what the fuck? Dude, take her to the hospital. As he should. Like, obviously it's a brutal scene and it is, again, hard to watch. But Bear realizes at this point that it's not her, and Nikki is trying to break free of this obsessive personality. So they obviously go home, and there's a moment where they're sleeping in bed together. Obviously Nikki's passed the fuck out. Bear receives a couple of texts from Sarah, who actually has feelings for Bear, which it's been like kind of mentioned throughout the story, but it was never like an important piece of information until now. But she's texting Bear saying, we need to meet. I'll come over to your house if you can't meet me. So Bear tries to sneak away, and as he gets out of the door, so he does manage to get out of bed, surprisingly, without waking Nikki. There's a voice in the background, and it's Nikki whispering, and she says, Bear, kill me. It's not me. Kill me, please. And Bear turns around and has the gall to say, what's so bad about being with me? What? How has this selfish prick made it about himself again? He is so in his own head. He just doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about her. She is obviously going through this traumatic experience, and he's still managing to make it about himself, which it's abysmal and unforgivable. So then after that, after he says that, she whispers, I've never been with you, Bear. She's asleep. Please kill me. So he just walks away, which is the most selfish. But I was so pissed when he just walked away and didn't do anything to help her. He could have ended her suffering there. Like, yes, obviously it would be sad to kill Nikki, and it's a hard thing to do, but obviously it's not her, and she's going through the worst thing anyone could ever go through, and he's just being selfish. Like, I don't understand it. But he leaves the scenario. He goes into the car with Sarah. He catches up with her. So Sarah obviously tells him how she feels, and she has a letter as well that she wants to open with Bear because it means a lot to her. And out of nowhere, like, biggest jump scare in the film, by the way, it scared the fuck out of me because I wasn't expecting it at all. But Nikki comes charging towards Sarah in her car, smashes her head through the window, grabs her head and starts banging it against a brick. Obviously Sarah's dead at this point. It's sad. It's gruesome as fuck. But yeah, it's brutal, and it just goes to show how far Nikki is willing to go to be with Bear and what she's willing to sacrifice for Bear. But by this point, Bear has had enough and he's drawn the line. He's finally drawn the line and he goes back to the store that he bought the One Wish Willow from to buy another one to reverse the wish, which obviously he can't do. As I said in the beginning, he can't reverse the wish, but he could give the One Wish Willow to his friend who could make the wish to either reverse the wish or make sure he never made that wish. Then he goes to Ian. He goes to Ian and he gives him the One Wish Willow. He tries to convince him, like, this is what's happening. This is what's going on with Nikki. Nikki is fucked up. I fucked up. Make sure I didn't make this wish. Please just make sure I didn't. And then he wishes for $1 billion, snaps it, and $1 billion comes raining down. That's the moment where Bear kind of gives up. So after that, Bear goes back home and he tries to confront Nikki, and I think his whole plan was to get Nikki to make the wish, that he never made the wish. And obviously she's not going to go through with that. So they end up talking and it ends up in a screaming match. Nikki has a fucking revolver. She sticks it in her mouth. Like, it's nuts. Ian comes walking in. Nikki turns around and shoots Ian in the head. Like, it happened so fast. I was not expecting it at all. But in the end, I just kind of want to brush past that and go towards the ending, because this is the final act now. Bear has an ultimatum now of whether he ends his life or he doesn't. And initially, he tries to kill himself with a revolver. So he puts a gun in his mouth. He just bottles it. He can't do it. And then he opens the cabinet and realizes the pills are in there, and an easier escape is just to overdose. Kind of like a foreshadowing from the beginning where his cat overdosed. I didn't mention it in the video, but his cat did overdose. That's why, like, Nikki fed him his cat, and that's why, like, the cat was already dead. The cat had overdosed in the beginning because he left an open bottle of pills on the side. So he chooses to overdose. So he ends up swallowing a bunch of pills. And this is the bit that kind of made me realize that Bear is just an absolute piece of shit and a coward at the end of the day, because he swallows a bunch of pills and he's ready to go. And he has a last minute decision of, I can't do it. And he sticks his fingers in his mouth and he tries to make himself throw up, and he doesn't. So again, it just shows he's a coward, and he can't kill himself. He can't go through with it. After all he's done, he can't end his life to free Nikki of this torture. And as he's sticking his fingers in his throat, you hear a snap in the background, and he kind of snaps himself to realize, like, what am I doing? And then he gets up, he goes out, and Nikki has made a wish that Bear becomes obsessed with her. They go out, they share a really nice moment where they're staring into each other's eyes, smiling at each other, like giggling a little bit. Like, it's really cute. Like, for how fucked up this thing is, Nikki is covered in blood, so is he. Like, it's really fucked up, but it's a really cute scene. They end up, like, approaching each other, they end up kissing, and then Bear overdoses and he dies in Nikki's arms. Nikki is crying. She is, like, done now at this point. She realizes he's dead and she goes to kill herself with the pistol, sticks it in her mouth, and Nikki snaps back. And oh my god, I've never felt so bad for a character, but Indy's acting, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. Indy's acting is unbelievable in that scene. That is my favorite scene in the entire movie. She snaps back and she is just, her jaw drops. She starts bawling. She throws Bear to the ground. She says, "What have you done?" And she's, like, curled up in a ball, and she just can't believe what's around her. Sarah's in the room next to her, dead. Ian's on the floor over there, dead with a bullet in his head. Bear's on the floor, overdosed, dead. Everyone around her is dead. There's $1 billion in a house not too far away. from one of the dead guys. And it's such a fucked up ending because now Nikki has got to live her life with that trauma of everything that happened to her in this film, surrounded by her dead friends, accountable for all of it. Because again, the blood's on her hands. It wasn't Nikki, but it was. Like, she's gonna go to jail now. Like, that is it for her. I don't know. The ending was just perfect. Like, again, it's fucked up, but it's perfect. I couldn't have written it better myself. I think there was an alternate ending. I think this was like a one shoot thing. Like, Curry wasn't too sold on it, but he was like, oh, just give it one shot and we'll see how it goes. And that's the one they ended up using, because I think there was an ending where she did kill herself. And again, I don't think that would have been as impactful if she did kill herself, because I don't know, it's kind of over for all of them then. But with her being alive, it's so messy for her after that. It's like, where does it go for her from there? And I think that's where like a lot of Easter eggs are going to come in for a lot of Curry's other films that he releases. I don't know how many he's planning on doing. I hope loads, because this one's brilliant, and for such a low budget, it is my absolute favorite horror film, like genuinely my favorite. And I did ramble on a little bit, but the film was just so good. I had to talk about it. It's just so masterfully crafted that I just enjoyed every bit of it. It's brilliant. Like, I could go on about it for ages. But yeah, I appreciate you listening to me ramble on for a bit. Like, I have gone on quite a tangent. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I have kind of talked a little bit. I appreciate you watching the video. If you did, like and subscribe, I really do appreciate it. It goes a long way. It means a lot. And yeah, hopefully I do see you again